Of course, around yeah. And so basically, what I'm saying is that 100 years from now, if they don't do something quick, then it's gonna be just like Argentina. Because a lot of people believe this melanin theory that black is just superior and can't be destroyed.
Thank you.
Which is really making people complacent. And then, because we got plenty of people that got wiped out that was black. You got the Aborigines gone.
There you go.
The blacks in Argentina gone. The blacks in Puerto Rico are like 5% now. It was a higher population of blacks in Puerto Rico a couple hundred years ago. So black is not invincible.
That's right.
People don't understand that.
Agreed.
You know, so with that, like people teaching that black is invincible, they're making blacks complacent, and then they're going to, they're going to be here 100 years later, and they're going to be like the Native Americans on, almost non-existent.
Exactly. I totally agree with that, and that's what I was saying on my page. But black people, there's certain things that we don't want to discuss. Right. We don't like discussing homosexuality. We don't like discussing how the black woman's bad behavior. There's so many things that we don't like to discuss because it brings a lot of tension. But as you were saying, when I understand how powerful we are as a people, metaphysically, physically, spiritually. But like you said, after 3 generations, we're basically annihilated. Right. And we need to discuss these things because people say, oh, well, that's why I was like, if we don't accept interracial dating, why do we accept the byproduct?
Right, exactly.
Why do we automatically have to accept them? Why can't their other side accept them?
Right, exactly.
But then I'm the evil villain. But, people don't like to talk about that. Oh, these children didn't have control of X, Y, and Z. Well, then that's their parents.
Right. But the thing is, if you research the mulatto, Chancellor Williams, they played a major part in the oppression of blacks, and they still do. Even in Latin America, the people who are like half black, it's like a caste system set up. The whites is on top, and the mulattoes, they identify with their French or Latin parents, and then they're oppressing the people who have black parents on both sides.
Right.
So, I mean, the mulatto, and then even in Egypt, all the way back to Egypt, the mulattoes came in, like the Greeks came in, and some sellout Egyptians let them in, and then they mixed, and then they got up in the government.
Exactly.
And the mulattoes gave all the political power to their Greek parents. Mm-hmm. So this history keeps repeating itself, but people claim to be historians, but then they don't want to learn from the past mistakes.
Exactly.
So, I mean, but
we're definitely supposed to be on Kemetic Eye. Production, right?
Yeah. Films. You posting this?
Yeah.
On YouTube or? Yeah. I'm gonna have to download this stuff because I forget a lot of stuff that I say, so I'm gonna have to.
I know, because you just be so in it, and I'm like, yo, sometimes I gotta write what I be saying, because like I just feel like it just be telepathically coming to me.
Right.
Like, and you know what I was thinking, like, sometimes some information you don't need to read a book, like it just automatically comes to you. Like when they say genetic transfer, because we're nothing but a replica, a photocopy of our ancestors, a continuum. So yeah, half of the stuff, like I'm like, how I get this knowledge? And I haven't read that much either. Right. But I like to stay and focus on the current. I'm not here to battle, 500 BC and Moses. My whole thing is now and the future. Right. Because the past is not going to help us with what we need now. I mean, does it give us self-esteem? Yes. Right. But after a while, it just becomes redundant, and then we start worshiping pyramids and second.
And they're not dealing with the issue that's at hand. Like immigration. People don't want to talk about that neither. A lot of black people fighting for the Mexican immigration and the Asian immigration. They don't know, like in California right now, the Mexicans are literally killing blacks in California, and it's not being talked about in the media. They're using their racial slurs. They're coming in gang banging and literally doing drive-bys on black people and running them out their neighborhoods. Like Compton is like almost all Mexican now. Like, so they're like, blacks are afraid to walk down the street in an all Mexican neighborhood because there might be a drive-by. Right. So the same thing is happening on the East Coast. Now, this is a real sensitive subject people don't want to talk about. Like, people try to say Jennifer Lopez is black. I had a debate with somebody on Facebook. They try to say, well, Puerto Ricans is black. No. Only the ones with woolly hair are black, like Tego Calderon. We know what a black person look like. They trying to classify. They trying to classify the white Puerto Ricans and the Indian Puerto Ricans as African descent just because slavery happened, not realizing those people that they're classifying were actually the slave masters. The people that look like Jennifer Lopez were actually the ones doing the enslaved. They're descended mainly from the conquistadors and Indians, and the red Indian, the Native American, and nobody wants to talk about. They were used as slave catchers on the African runaway slaves, and their descendants are the Mexicans. So this war that these Mexicans are waging against the blacks in California is an ancient war that they waged against the Gullah Geechee people. If you type in slave revolt against the Native Americans, but the Africans, they wasn't cool. because they was enslaving.
Right.
The Native Americans owned slaves too, and they was actually, and you know, people want to let everybody in and identify everybody as African. When
I'm sick of that shit.
So
I'm sick of that. But that's the major problem that I keep saying, that the reason why everybody can chime in and say they're black is because we don't have a specific, because of all the heavy mixing, and that's whether with other indigenous people, we don't have our own phenotypical identity. Because like when you go to Nigeria, you know a Nigerian, you know an Ethiopian. When you go to America, we don't look like biological brother and sister. They look like you know exactly where they come from. But when you come here, so I feel like because we don't really look alike, anybody can say I'm black. Especially here, they can't go to Africa and say they black or they African. They're gonna know like phenotypically you don't look like that. So I think we need to address that, and I think that's the major problem why we have a problem unifying. It's because we need to find something that links us together. We know that we're genetically related, but are we culturally and politically and all those different aspects, are we one on that?
I agree with that. I think an easy remedy for that would be, it needs to be a cutoff point based off percentages. You shouldn't classify somebody like people trying to classify George Zimmerman as black because he has 10% black ancestry. They're trying to say Adolf Hitler was black because he was 14% black allegedly. There should be a cutoff point on what black, because this already exists within African culture. It's not like we're just making it like the one drop rule was created by white people so they can let anybody in and identify as black. The one drop rule didn't come from black people. Africans already have what a black person is within tribal culture. You have to be 75% African or higher to gain kingship or queenship within the tribal culture. And also they also say based off reincarnation, an African spirit can only reincarnate into a body that is majority African genetically, because your ancestors work through your DNA. If the majority of your DNA is non-African, then they're actually, the spirit in that body is a spirit from the non-African parents. So it's on a spiritual level and a physical level, they break that down on what an African person is. So a cutoff point is 75% and higher. That way, anybody less than that, they can't, come in and...
You're not the gods. I agree.
So
where will we get these testing done? Should we just get testing to see who we are genetically tied to Africa, or like who should be in control of that? Because I mean, I don't know these companies. We don't know if they have an agenda. So if we don't have the laboratories, the scientific equipment to find out what our percentages are, what are other methods can we use? Because I feel an energy where I know who my people is. Even when somebody's on my lotto, I go next to them, I'm like, you half and half. Like, I don't know, I feel like I sense it. Where I know, like... Everybody
put off energy, so it's real. But my thing on that is two answers that you could do the simple way and say, well, we don't need to specifically find out which tribe we're from. We know African's African. That would be the simple way. But if you actually want to know what tribe you came from, they would say, well, we're all mixed up with different tribes. That's
I just want the percentage.
Well, you can go through the companies and get percentage. They are some of the companies are accurate in physical, DNA makeup. But if you want the actual tribe you came from spiritually through reincarnation, you have to set up an ancestral shrine and communicate with your own ancestors, literally, not metaphorically. Because a lot of people don't understand, like, spirituality is, if they actually do it and go to like the Caribbean and see these people engage in that, you can find out where they're from directly. Your ancestors will tell you that you're from this tribe. Even like the blood mixing don't matter because it's based off percentage. If you, like, let's say you're half Yoruba. No, let's say you're 25% Akan and 75% Yoruba. Now, the 25% is overshadowed by the 75% Yoruba. So you actually be a descendant of the Yoruba. So it's based. So whatever tribe the majority of your DNA is, that's basically what tribe you're from, like spiritually. So
there you go.
It's not from. They just saying they're spiritual, but they don't actually have a tribe that actually practices that. Because in tribal African culture, spirit does have color. If you communicate with a spirit, it's going to be the same black spirit that it was in a physical body. If your great grandmother died and you summon her or communicate with her spiritually and she appeared to you in your dream, she's going to appear the same color she was alive, black. So spirit does have color. The gods have color, and the goddesses has color. So as above, so below. So the whole thing about spiritual not having a color and that we're all spiritual and not just physical, that's not compatible with African spirituality. So I don't even know where that even comes. That's European metaphysics. A lot of these Black Americans, they study.
I'm glad you touched on that.
They don't have a lineage from their they're studying white metaphysics and then blackening it up and saying
Barnes and Noble, New Age. There you go.
It's not authentic because it's not from a tribe.
There you go. Yes.
So I try to go to authentic. Like I talk to people from. I've been to Africa. I went to synagogue. I studied with the Wolof people, and I built with them, and they told me a lot of the oral traditions.
Right.
A lot of that's another thing about oral traditions. A lot of information you can get from books, but once you get to a certain level, books is not going to help you. You're going to have to start going and dealing with Africans and Caribbean people that actually have stories that's not written down in books.
Right.
So, yeah.